All right, so I want to thank Mutsu for bringing this to my attention because I have been out of commission for a good minute because of reasons and have been completely out of the loop. Like, I haven't even been on YouTube, on TikTok, or even reading up on current news for a good week or so before like last week. So I really appreciate you keeping me up to date because my goodness, what is going on now? Like, if you turn on the news today, you will hear politicians using complicated economic jargon to explain why our government just signed off on a massive $1.5 billion World Bank loan. But stripped off all the fancy talk, this moment we are having right now is about your wallet, your job, and your children's future. To understand the game being played, we need to break down a big word that bankers love to hide behind: conditionalities. In simple terms, conditionalities are the unseen rules and strict strings attached to borrowed money. When a foreign bank gives a government a normal loan, you build a bridge or a school. But when they give a policy loan with conditionalities, they are not buying bricks. They are buying the power to rewrite our national laws. They hand over cash directly to the state budget only after our leaders agree to pass laws that open up our electricity, water, and train systems to foreign corporations. You are being told that this is help, but it is actually a financial contract that trades away your country's decision making power. I am sharing this with you today because the timing of this deal is not an accident. It is directly tied to the political desperation unfolding in Pretoria right now. Look at where President Cyril Ramaphosa stands as we speak today. He is facing intense, unprecedented political pressure as the Pala impeachment battle reaches the Constitutional Court following months and months of fierce legal challenges from opposition parties. With succession battles heating up inside his own party and rival factions demanding he name a presidential prospect or step aside, the president is politically cornered and feeling the heat. When a political leader is fighting for survival, they become extremely vulnerable to pressure from powerful international institutions and domestic coalition partners. Western financial institutions know this exact weakness and they exploit it masterfully. They step into the room offering a fast $1.5 billion cash lifeline to plug budget gaps, but in exchange, they demand immediate political signatures on sweeping policy changes. So now, to keep his administration afloat and satisfy pro business partners, the president is forced to rush through these structural reforms without public debate. You are watching a leadership team under siege trade long term national sovereignty for short term political breathing room. So, all the politicians on television pretend this deal is about modernizing our economy. The truth is that a weak leadership position has allowed foreign institutions to dictate how South Africa's public utilities will be run for decades to come. That is why these massive policy loans are suddenly being pushed through right now. And the government is too distracted by legal battles to defend the public interest. This isn't just happening at the national presidency level. The political parties like Democratic Alliance and their coalition allies like Action SA are actively driving this agenda through specific policy pushes that displace South Africans. Remember what the DA communications minister is spearheading regarding Starlink and satellite internet. Instead of protecting local economic transformation laws that require foreign companies to partner with local black owners and invest in local skill development, they are actively pushing through policy changes that allow foreign tech giants to bypass local equity rules. Under the banner of bringing fast internet to rural areas, they are opening our digital skies directly to foreign billionaires like Elon Musk without requiring them to build local ownership or hire South African workers in key leadership roles. And to some degree, what they are doing is encouraging illegal grey market operations in the country to try and move decisions along quicker. This is what the data suggests. While you are told this is modern progress, the reality is that profits generated from your monthly internet bills will flow straight out of the country to foreign shareholders, while local IT companies and young South African tech workers get pushed to the sidelines. They call it expanding digital access, but it is actually handing over control of our critical communication networks to foreign corporations without securing long term wealth or skill development for our own people. When political parties champion policies that strip away local ownership requirements, they are intentionally smoothing the path for big foreign capital to enter our market, extract local money, and leave our citizens working lower level jobs in an industry they should own. You may have also noticed the obvious double standard happening at our borders right now, which reveals who these political parties actually prioritize. While every day South Africans have to wait months just to get a visa interview to visit or do business in Schengen countries, in Europe, or the United States, our own government is rolling out the red carpet for Western foreigners. Through special digital nomad visas and extended concession directives, Western expats and foreign professionals are given priority entry and legal extensions to live, work, and buy up property in our prime cities. This brings us to another big word you need to know: unbundling. Unbundling simply means taking a large public utility like Eskom or our national water boards and chopping it up into smaller pieces so private buyers can buy the profitable parts. Political parties advocate unbundling because it allows private companies to take over the profitable power lines and water routes while leaving the state with the broken, unprofitable areas. As Western foreigners move in with strong, hard currencies and private companies take over unbundled utilities, local working class citizens get priced out of their own neighborhoods. So you end up paying higher municipal rates and market-driven utility tariffs while competing for housing against people earning dollars or euros. This policy combination creates a situation where foreign visitors and corporate investors get priority access to our country's resources, while ordinary South Africans face administrative hurdles abroad and rising costs of living at home, gradually becoming strangers in their own land. We also have to talk about how the financial system and currency volatility are used to make this foreign entry feel seamless. You often hear news anchors talk about the rand weakening or strengthening, but what they rarely explain is how currency manipulation and wild exchange rate swings work to benefit corporate insiders. When pro market parties and international financiers encourage policies that keep the rand volatile, it creates panic in local markets. A weak rand makes it extremely expensive for our government to buy fuel or pay off foreign debt, but it makes South African factories and power plants and water infrastructure look dirt cheap to foreign buyers holding US dollars or euros. When our local currency plunges, a foreign private equity firm can walk in and buy up a piece of our unbundled energy grid or port terminal for pennies on the dollar. Meanwhile, for you and me, a weaker rand immediately translates to higher petrol prices, expensive groceries, and skyrocketing electricity bills. The political establishment then turns around and tells you that the state is too broke to fix the problem, presenting foreign corporate buyers as the only saviors left. It is an engineered cycle. Create financial instability, make local assets cheap for foreign buyers, and then convince the public that selling off national infrastructure is the only way out. This financial maneuvering ensures that foreign corporate systems take a rigid hold of your daily survival needs while you keep paying bigger and bigger bills. To understand why Western institutions like the World Bank are pushing these loans so aggressively right now, you have to look at the global stage. The West's grip on global economic control is loosening every single day, and they are grasping at straws just to stay relevant. For centuries, Western powers maintained dominance first through direct colonization, then through slavery and economic exploitation, and then later through financial debt traps. But today, they are facing a multipolar reality where global South nations have alternative options and are no longer forced to bow down to Western demands. Now, because their global dominance is slipping, Western institutions are rushing to update sovereign nation policies through development loans that do not actually develop the nation for the benefit of the people. Instead, these loans are designed to lock emerging economies into Western aligned corporate systems before alternative global alliances take over. It is a modernized version of the old colonial playbook, dangling billion-dollar loans in front of financially stressed governments to force them into signing away their economic independence. They know that if they can control our legal frameworks, our energy grids, and our water pipelines today, they can maintain their global influence even as their geopolitical power fades. They are trying to rewrite the rules of our domestic economy, not because they care about African development, but because they are terrified of losing their historic monopoly over world finance and resource extraction. This is why Western banks are panicking over competition from institutions like the BRICS New Development Bank. As we saw with the NDB's recent $1 billion loan to South African cities, alternative lenders are offering capital structured directly in our local currency, the Rand, to build actual physical infrastructure like water pipes and power stations without demanding that we dismantle our state or rewrite our laws. The NDB model proves the capital can be deployed to fix real world municipal problems without demanding political concessions or forcing austerity onto working families. I mean, ideally, our nation should be striving to take in fewer foreign loans overall, regardless of where they come from, so that future generations are not burdened by interest payments, but one thing at a time. First, we must recognize the huge difference between the two approaches. While Western loans use financial pressure to force privatization and strip away sovereign control, non Western multilateral banks offer project specific funding that keeps asset ownership in local hands. Okay, Western institutions are terrified of this shift because once developing nations realize they can build infrastructure without surrendering their economic sovereignty, the old Western financial monopoly collapses completely. That is why the World Bank is rushing in with massive policy loans. They are trying to block alternative multipolar partnerships and lock out public utilities into Western corporate hands before we can build true financial independence. When you connect all these dots, the big picture becomes painfully clear for working class South Africans. You have a politically vulnerable presidency rushing through foreign deals to stay afloat. There are pro market parties opening our skies and borders to foreign entities. And then there are also Western banks using policy loans to carve up our public utilities. The human price of this grand maneuvering is paid by everyday people in our townships and suburbs. As foundational public utilities like ESCOM and Transnet get sliced into pieces for private concessionaires, operational efficiency becomes a polite word for mass retrenchments, leaving tens of thousands of utility workers without jobs or forced into low paying outsourced roles. I know that some of y'all have been catching up with the video I titled South Africa is Not Your Cheap Labor Market. I've been reading the comments and I see that you understand what I am saying very well. So you think it's bad right now? Think about how bad it can possibly get if we keep giving celebrity politicians more power and keep them in parliament for way longer than they need to be in there. The massive monthly revenues collected from your electricity bills and water meters will no longer stay in South Africa to repair local roads or build township schools or upgrade public hospitals. Instead, those hard-earned funds will be converted into foreign currency and sent straight offshore to enrich international shareholders. Meanwhile, as private utility companies raise prices to satisfy their profit margins, ordinary families will be squeezed out of basic survival, struggling to pay for light and water in the very neighborhoods their parents built. You end up paying taxes to service a national debt you never approved while watching your public services transform into foreign-owned profit machines designed to extract wealth directly from your community. So, where do we go from here? The first step to breaking the cycle is awareness, refusing to fall for slick political PR and recognizing these policies for what they truly are. When politicians bring temporary water trucks into your neighborhood during an election campaign, see it for what it is: a cheap band-aid designed to make you grateful for the bare minimum while they prepare to sell off your water contracts to foreign corporations. We must organize at the community level, joining ratepayer associations, demanding complete transparency on all municipal contracts, and legally challenging any policy that hands public assets to foreign buyers. At the household level, we must protect our families by seeking functional independence wherever possible. Maybe investing in localized solar power, rainwater harvesting, and building community-owned energy microgrids that keep us off corporate control networks. On the financial front, we must protect our savings by building skills that generate resilient income and diversifying away from systems vulnerable to rand manipulation. The battle over our utilities is not just about electricity wires or water pipes. It is a battle for the soul and sovereignty of South Africa. We cannot allow foreign financial institutions and compromised local politicians to turn our nation into a private corporate estate. By standing together, demanding accountability, and protecting our local resources, we ensure that our children inherit a sovereign country where public wealth serves the public good.